Welcome to this specialized training on Cloudera Data Platform's IDBroker. In this module, we will demystify how CDP data services securely access cloud storage without managing static credentials. We will focus specifically on IDBroker mappings, the critical configuration that bridges your CDP identity with cloud provider permissions. Let's get started. Let's define what IDBroker is. In a cloud environment, your data services like Spark jobs in CDE or flows in NI need to read and write data to S3, ADLs, or GCS. Traditionally, this might involve hard-coding access keys, which is a security risk. IDBroker solves this by acting as a secure middleman. It facilitates a token exchange pattern. When a user runs a workload, IDBroker verifies their CDP identity and then trades it for a temporary, short-lived token from the cloud provider. This ensures that your data access is always authenticated, authorized, and ephemeral without ever exposing root credentials. This sequence diagram illustrates the IDBroker workflow. First, the user or job requests access using their internal CDP credentials like Kerberos. The IDBroker receives this request and looks up the mapping configuration. It then asks the cloud provider Oz, Azure, or GCP to assume the specific role mapped to that user. The cloud provider returns a temporary token. IDBroker hands this token back to the user, who then uses it to directly access data in cloud storage. Notice the note: no static keys are stored on the cluster nodes. Now let's look at how we configure this. You manage mappings primarily through the CDP CLI. The command CDP environment set IDBroker mappings is your primary tool. When you set this up, you define a baseline data access role, which handles general data lake access, and a Ranger audit role for writing audit logs. But the real power lies in the granular mappings. You can explicitly link a CDP user or group identified by their CRN to a specific cloud role using the mappings parameter. This allows you to say the data science group gets read-only access, but the data engineering group gets read-write access, all managed centrally. This chart breaks down the mapping structure. Starting at the CDP environment, we execute the set IDBroker mappings command. This splits into two categories. On the left, we have baseline roles. These are the data access and Ranger audit roles required for basic functionality. On the right, we have granular mappings. This is where you define specific rules. Mapping a user CRN to Cloud Role A or an entire group CRN to Cloud Role B, enabling fine-grained access control. If you are running on AWS, IDBroker maps directly to IAM roles. When you run the CLI command, the role values you provide must be full AWS ARNs, like ARN, Oz, IAM, 123,456,789, roles/my role. A critical setup step often missed is the trust policy. The target IAM role in AWS must explicitly trust the IDBroker's own instance profile, or the assume role call will fail. This setup allows you to create distinct roles in AWS, say, one for marketing and one for finance, and map your CDP groups to them accordingly, ensuring strict isolation of sensitive S3 buckets. This AWS-specific flow shows the handshake. The CDP IDBroker role on the left initiates an SDS, assume role call to the target IAM role in the center. The arrow pointing back represents the trust policy. The target role must explicitly trust the source. Once the handshake is complete, the target IAM role grants access to the S3 bucket on the right. On Azure, the concept is similar but uses managed identities. Instead of an ARN, you map a CDP user to the full resource ID of an Azure user assigned managed identity. The IDBroker VM itself runs with a special identity called the assumer identity. This assumer identity must have the managed identity operator role on the target identities to successfully perform the switch. This is crucial for accessing ADL's Gen 2 containers securely. You typically define a data access identity that owns the data and map your users to it. Here is the Azure hierarchy. The IDBroker VM utilizes the assumer identity. This identity has the special permission to assign the data access identity to the process. Once assigned, the data access identity uses standard Azure RBAC role-based access control to read and write to ADL's Gen 2 storage. For Google Cloud, we map to service accounts. When running the set IDBroker mappings command, you provide the service account email address as the role identifier. Just like AWS and Azure, there is a permission requirement. The IDBroker's underlying service account must have the service account token creator role on the target service accounts. This allows it to generate short-lived credentials. This is essential for accessing Google Cloud Storage, GCS, buckets from your CDP workloads. The GCP flow is direct. The IDBroker service account SA on the left exerts the token creator permission upon the target service account in the center. Once the token is created, that target SA provides access to the GCS bucket on the right. And do you actually see these mappings in action? They are critical for data services. For example, when deploying a ready flow in Cloudera Data Flow, such as moving data from S3 to Milvus, you often need to provide a CDP workload user password. This user must have a valid IDBroker mapping to the cloud role that has permission to read that S3 bucket. Similarly, in Cloudera Data Engineering, CDE, when you submit a Spark job, system checks who you are, looks up your IDBroker mapping, and runs the job with those exact cloud permissions. If the mapping is missing, the job fails with an access denied error. This flowchart traces the execution path. A NI-FI ready flow starts, running as a specific workload user. It consults the IDBroker to resolve this user's identity. IDBroker returns a valid cloud token. The flow then uses this token to access the source bucket. Without the mapping step in the middle, the connection to the bucket is broken. Finally, let's cover maintenance. Mappings are not always instant. If you add a new mapping, you must run CDP environment sync IDBroker mappings to push the configuration to the running IDBroker instances. To verify what is currently set, use the get IDBroker mappings command. If you suspect a delay, you can check the sync status command to confirm the clusters have received the latest rules. Always perform a sync after modifying roles to ensure your data services aren't using stale credentials. This state diagram shows the maintenance lifecycle. You start in a configured state where you've edited the JSON. You then transition to syncing by running the sync command. Once success is returned, you reach the synced state. Finally, perform verification using the get command to close the loop.
Welcome to quicktechie.com. So just type in quicktechie.com here. Then you can go through the material which is provided by quicktechie. So we have first of all video courses which you can go here and you can find the various video courses across the technologies as well as finance domain. So if you see in Microsoft, we have 8 programs currently running. Next, you can go through the ebooks available. So all the ebooks which are in PDF format today, and you can download this. So let me go through Microsoft certification ebooks. You can click on any of this and you can see this is the PDF available for you to download. So these are the premium ebook mostly available on quicktechie.com platform only. Now the second part is exam simulator. As we primarily focus on the all technology companies and finance domain certification preparation material, so this is company wide listed here and you can go through this. So let me go through the Microsoft one again. You can see this is all Microsoft related certification. AB 730 exam, if you open it, so you can see here this, and all the practice papers are available here. Today we have a 5 practice paper. So click on the first practice paper. It would load the questions. You can answer this question. This is way you can answer it and you can move to the next question. Now the third material we wanted to highlight is an audiobook. So we started recently with the audiobooks as well, which you can listen on the go, and various technology wise ebooks are available. And at the last, this is our alumni. These people who are subscribing to our courses and this platform, they are all listed here. And at the end, I wanted to tell you, if you find any course or training or certification preparation material which you want to get us prepare for yourself, please put on the comment section. If you're watching on YouTube, on Udemy, or on this platform itself, quicktechie.com, then please put the comment, or you can even send an email to using this contact us options here. You can directly do the WhatsApp message. You can call us on this numbers as well.